Ladies, gentlemen, welcome once again to the Bavsound Video Installation Guide Series. It's 2016, March. We're actually revisiting an old friend of ours, the E46. We redesigned the entire system back in 2015, early 15, and we needed to update our installation videos to reflect those changes, so here we are. If you're watching any other E46 sedan video than this, stop, watch this one. It's more fun and more relevant to what you're doing. So, super simple. You've probably taken your E46 doors off multiple times already to replace window regulators, etc., but here is how we do it. Plastic panel removal tool and a Torx T20. That's it. That's all we need. So, let's get started on the door. So the doors are exactly the same, passenger to driver. The only difference with the driver has a little window control, so there'll be a plug back here. There will not be on the passenger door. So, plastic panel removal tools. Do not use metal up near this wood. It will crack. This is actually, this car's in mint condition. It's a 99 and it even smells new. Here is how we go. So, take the hook up under here like so, and there you go. We want to get it with our fingers, and then I'll show you what I'm actually doing. And then we get it loose, and then we pull away. So there's two little tabs here, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back. So we're lifting out, and we're going rearward. Boom, easy enough. That's going to expose two Torx T20s. These are both, the Torx T20 is found in the Bavsound toolkit, which we highly recommend you have. If not, well, you're going to need to go procure those tools on your own. The Bavsound kit's got everything you need. It's also got the T30 that you're going to need to get to these tweeters. It's got the metal panel removal tool that you're going to need. It's got the pick tool you're going to need to get the mid-ranges out of their housings in the front and rear doors. So, totally recommend it. All right, those guys out of the way. Now, underneath the door handle here, there's two little plastic oval tabs. Just pry them down and out. You can see there's just a little, so I just went up, so down, out. Same on both sides. Down and out, like so. And that leaves us with this, which is our window control. When these cars are this old, this vinyl is very fragile. So what I recommend doing, especially if it's super cold outside, heating up this area with like a hair dryer, just getting it warm so that the vinyl's a little more pliable. You don't want to pry really hard. Again, odds are these have been out at some point in their life, and or has a bunch of schmutz in it, like this one does. So these can be really tight. Again, it just pries out of there. Let's see if we have any better luck back here. So you can see once, so it's freed up there. This has just got 17 years of schmutz down in here. Another old trick that some guys would do is they would pop this off, and then you could just take a pair of pliers and grab that little prong and lift up. That's old school. For those of you that are really adept with your tools, you can give that a go. Those of you kind of newbies, I wouldn't recommend that. Again, we're just being really careful here, like so. You can see there's nothing, it's just a, and then rock it out of there like that. And let's go ahead and put this guy back on, just because why not? I'll show you how I did it. Just unplug it like so, and then just take our window switch and just, easy enough. Super easy. So, and that reveals one more Torx T20. So there's obviously one back here, and there's one behind each one of those tabs we popped out earlier too. So that guy's out, and we got one down here and one back there. So there are 5 total screws holding on the front door panels. And that is really pretty much it. So get those guys loosened up. Sometimes they come out easily, sometimes they don't. These are all staying in, so no big deal. We'll just get them when we take the panel off. Now we take our plastic panel removal tool and we start up top here. We just kind of wedge it between the panel and the door like so. Just, as you can see, it just kind of fits in there. And then just And then you'll see the clips that were popping out once I get the panel off. See exactly what I'm doing. We want to be really careful, especially with those of you with the, if you're really, really meticulous about your car, these clips, you can get them at BMW. They're just, 30, 40 cents a piece. If you want to, especially considering they're 17 years old in some cases, pick up some of those from the dealer, or just, you can order them probably on Amazon, quite frankly. And you can put fresh clips in when you reattach the door panels. Now, so on the back side of this, I'll have to show you later. I'm going to unhook this door handle. It'll be easier to show you when I'm reinstalling it. Actually, you know what? Let me have if it's possible to come around and show you guys this. It's going to be really tight in here. There's not a lot of room. Probably should just roll the window down, eh? Can you guys see well enough what I'm doing? All right, so basically I'm just taking my finger and I'm hooking it behind this white tab here, and I'm just lifting out. You can see how this kind of goes in, like so. So I'm just lifting up and out like that. And then we're left with a couple of little tabs we need to unscrew. No big deal. We unplug our mid-range, unplug our midwoofer, just a little tabs, we push them in, unplug, and voila, we're gonna take this up to the workspace. Actually gonna pull the rear door off, and we're gonna do the mids at the same time because we do use a little glue. Let's get the rear door off and we'll meet you guys up on the we'll meet you in the rear doors. See you in a minute. Back doors, we are in. Exact same removal process as the front, but if you'd like to watch this, you certainly can. Again, let's start on the back, kind of just like getting this guy out of here. Sometimes they're more snug than others. Same process. A couple Torx, D20s. This front one's always snug. Remember when there's 4 screws that are the same and one that's different. The one that's different on all 4 doors is the one that's right by the door handle. It's the longer, steeper pitched screw. So just take note of that. I'll remind you again later. We are, I can get those things out with my fingers. Yeah, you can. Perfect. All right, same thing as the front door, so there's just a couple Torx. And then, this is also a great time to clean when you've got the car off. Or, take note, if your windows are acting up, now's a great time to replace those regulators because you're in there anyway. If your window's not going up or down particularly well, grab a regulator from your local BMW center and do it to it. So, same thing. Start up on this front edge. It's just easier for the panel removal tool to get back there. Oh, that's right. Ha ha, look at that. Been doing this too long. I've probably worked on 1,000 of these and I totally just forgot. Same thing, there's another screw back here. So just like on the front door, you just pry out these window switches. Like, this is really tight. Why isn't this door coming off? That is why. There is a screw still in there. It's also one of those days. All right, so unplugged. One more screw. It's not even a secret screw. It's just a lazy Jason screw. It is Friday, though. We'll just accept that as an excuse. All right, so now, hey, look at that. It pops right off. So, just like the front doors, same shenanigans with the, oh yeah, and also when you're popping the door off and the screws are flying everywhere, kind of be mentally prepared for retrieving them. So again, just finger behind the hook, lift up and out. And then again, just a couple of little tabs. Unplug our mid, grab the window switch, and voila. And again, sorry camera, take note of the screws you lost and make sure you, yeah, there's one still up in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to pause it here. We're going to clean up a workspace and get both door panels over there and do the mids at once because we need to add a little glue. BMW, of course, glued the mids in, so we're going to have to do the same. So we need a little curing time. So let's pause it here and join you on the bench. Let's get started. So, using a Phillips head screwdriver, in your Bavsound toolkit, we will remove the midwoofer from the front door. This particular car, BMW chose to use Phillips head. I've seen Torx T20, I've seen Torx T15, I've seen Torx 30. So it's going to be one of those. Could be held in with bubble gum if your E46 is old enough and took it to Cletus's and they did some work and was scared of your BMW. We're going to do it right though. All right. So unplug the midwoofer. Here is our old grimy midwoofer. Here is our new beautiful midwoofer, which we will put in momentarily, but not before we address the sound deadening. So let's get this mid-range out as well. So again, this is a ring. We just unscrew this black ring, like so. Pop out the mid-range. We'll get to that in a moment. So what I wanted to cover first was the sound deadening of the front doors, specifically in these E46 sedans, because there's so much energy attached to the panel. There's a mid-range and a mid-woofer, so there's a lot of energy. So we want to deaden this panel, but we must stay away from here, because that is what folds down to allow for airbag deployment. So we don't want to go anywhere near that. So we're going to focus our efforts basically here over, and that's where all the energy is coming from anyway. So there's two kind of goals with sound deadening in cars. Number one is we want to control unwanted resonance. Number two, we want to do it closest to the drivers creating that resonance. So you can see where these panels all kind of come together. There's three different surfaces. There's a press board, there's an ABS kind of composite that's softer, and then there's a harder composite here. And so what we want to do is tie all of these areas together so it creates one dead panel. And the way we do that is use a straight razor blade. If you don't have one, I'm sure you know somebody with a coke problem. They've got them. Just grab one of their razor blades. And if you don't know anyone with a coke problem, they sell these at the hardware store. I think they still do. They're probably illegal now. Anyway, razor blades. So I'm going to do this in kind of a two-part. Again, it's not total coverage isn't necessary. It's percentage coverage. So that's what we want to do. So here's kind of how we do it. I'm going to take this. We're going to bridge the panels together here. We're going to come here as well and get those together. And we've got to keep it clear there. We're going to keep it clear for the mid-range as well. So let me show you how we do that. Let's kind of line it up a little bit, how we want to do this. So we'll maybe do one there. We've got a lot of sound deadening. There's what I recommend in the E46 sedans is cut it in, so there's 5 feet. So take 3 feet and do 1.5 feet on each front door and then 1 foot on each rear door. So again, we just want to tie these panels together on here. So not so complex. So I just kind of cut them up into like this. And it's just some random sizes. And then maybe we're down around that midwoofer. So what I kind of do, you need a heat gun or a hair dryer. Somebody's probably got a hair. If you're bald like me and don't have a hair dryer, maybe your neighbor does, or your wife, or somebody. Maybe you've got a sweet toupee that you style. I don't know what you do, but you're gonna need. Hey, look at that! I must have unplugged the thing. So I'm gonna go plug that in. Oh no, it's plugged in. It's just not working. No, it's not plugged in. It's been unplugged. Our alcoholic director of photography. Whoop. I just did. All right, so we get this nice and tacky. I know our our lunch is on the way back here, so when you hear a dog go bananas barking, that means our lunch is here, and we'll pause filming. So let's actually, you know what, let's start up here. Let's start up here. You want to get down into the lower points and then kind of work up on to the other panels. And this is just like preliminarily how we're going to do this. See how it just fits the contours perfectly of the panel. Where is my, well, we can just use this for the time, so we're just going to use the, this is the pick tool included in your Bavsound toolkit. Again, we just want to get these like so, get it nice and snug, and then we come back through and hit it one more time real quick with the heat gun. Just to get it nice and tacky one last time, so that that bond never comes loose. And then we're just going to repeat this process. So you could, in theory, you could pause it here and go do some work or have a beer or something, and then come back and kind of see what it looks like when we're wrapped up. For the rest of you, well, we're keeping on. And keep watching. It's a little too early for a beer today. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have one. Is it PM? Is it the PM yet? Oh, it's PM time? Oh, pfft. All right. That means it's all right. So we've tied these three big panels together coming up through the mid-range and mid-bass area. Now we are going to tie this lower panel to this upper panel, and let's do that. Let's get a little creative, and let's kind of just mock up a little cutout like so. Like that, and then that way we can tie all that energy together. And we don't want to waste that piece we cut out, so we'll use it later. It blows my mind how this car's so old, but it's in unbelievable shape. Odds are your car is too, because those of us that care about our music tend to care about other things. All right, so this will be hot on occasion, so just be a little conscientious of that. Excellent. For example, this really hot, burning my fingers. Yep. All right. So what did I do with my little? So again, just we're just getting it nice and. So you see, it's a nice, perfect bond between those surfaces, and now. Dunk, dunk, dunk. It's a nice, dead, solid surface. So let's keep moving. We're going to kind of get a little bit down here around this area. It's a little bit more challenging where the midwoofer mounts to the panel down here. So we're going to control a lot of this energy just in its general vicinity. Without going bananas, this is about the best you're going to get at home. See, I just kind of tied these panels together down here. And then again here, we'll come and focus a little bit more. These have always been a challenge, haven't they? So we'll just come through here and it's just controlling the energy in this area, which is nice. And I think what we'll try and do down here, it's already pretty darn dead, but let's do this. Let's make some strips so we can kind of just come through like this, and then where the midwoofer mount comes to the panel, we're going to cover that. I like that. Like that. So have to forgive me. It's been a while since I have been in one of these. It used to be all we worked on. And now it's those of us that are enthusiasts left. Woo, hot, hot. All right, so you come down through here, dip it down in there, and control that panel as it mounts to the card. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, that still leaves us with a little bit more. And again, this is really, let's see. This is probably me just being really, really silly. But again, you can take your time with this. We recommend doing both doors at once, just, or quite frankly, getting off all 4 doors and doing this. Doing all 4 mids at once and doing all 4 sound deadening processes at once. Just kind of getting a rhythm like that. That is me being ridiculous right there, but nevertheless, ridiculous is not a bad thing. And then we got this one big piece left, and so let's take it. Boy, we just want to stay the heck away from that. So why don't we've already done a really thorough job there. I guess the next best place where this energy is going to come through here. It's actually really well done. Why don't we just do, why don't we tie all that together right here. The hairdryer is going to take a little longer to heat this up, only just because it doesn't get as hot as these heat guns. Again, so we'll bridge all these together. Perfect. Now we're going to drop our midwoofers into the car. So just like the factory woofer, obviously markedly more sexy and of course acoustically balanced, let's drop the new midwoofer in. So they are snug, primarily because we just put sound deadening on there, but make sure it sits down flush. Then reinstall the 3 mounting points. So, and that covers the midwoofer. Get it snug. There's a lot of energy coming out of this thing. And now, in the old days, I used to say, don't do this. Now I say, do it. Your factory woofers have these weird little baffles on them. Also, in ours, you got to pull off this rubber boot because it's really tight back in those E46s. So, pull off the rubber boot, slot down the foam. This is just helping. It tricks the woofer into thinking it's an enclosure. So, the theory is that it helps mid-bass performance. I don't necessarily know that that's the case, but we're still going to kind of play with this. So that's how we install the midwoofer. So I'm going to get the door panel out of the way because we're going to focus on the mid-ranges and the front and rear doors right now. So let's kind of pause it right here, come back and address the mid-range in the front door and the rear door. Got our front door out of the way. We're going to do our mid-ranges all at once. I recommend getting all 4 door panels off of the sedan, quite frankly, and if you're doing the coupes, have the coupe side panels off. Do them all at once because we've got to do a little glue. BMW glued them in, we got to glue them back in. So we've got the front mid out already. To get the rear off, we just unscrew it. And the same actually goes for the coupes. So the process is the same in the coupes. We just unscrew this mid from the grill. That can actually remain in the door. We don't need to mess with that. Which leaves us with our mid-range, and again, exactly the same as the Coupe. And how we extract the speaker itself from the ring, you can see there's a couple little tabs right here, and there's a little tab right here. Using the pick tool that comes in the Bavsound toolkit, which you really, really want for these cars, take the 90-degree pick tool, insert it in one of these holes on the speaker. Do it on the table. Don't do it anywhere near your hand, unless you're a masochist and want to gouge yourself. So push it all the way in and then turn. And then you've got to just, once the seal breaks, the whole speaker just kind of peels out. It can be tight. As you see, it's actually good you're seeing it like this, because sometimes these things pop right out and then people think theirs is going to pop out exactly the same way. And then when it doesn't, so this guy is super tight, which is also, there we go. So you heard that kind of, so that was just the 17-year-old glue ring breaking. So all we're doing now is just prying the speaker, just comes right out of the housing. So it's very easy. So factory speaker out of the way. Here is the beautiful new Bavsound driver ready to rock. And in the coupes and sedans, for the rear doors or side panels, it's very simple. We take the Bavsound mid, we place it down on the ring like so, and then using a little bit of the E6000 glue that we've included, just put a couple dabs. I usually just put a little dab at like 12, 3, 6, and 9. And that's all you got to do. Let that sit there while we're doing the rest of it. It'll be cured shortly, and we're good to go. So now, front mid. This is the same, similar process actually. So we pry out using our panel or our pick tool, pry out the little tabs like so, and the mid just pulls out. Very easy there. Now our mid, we've used a thicker plate on it so that we get a little bit better resonant control. So we've got to use a little glue on the front, and that's okay. We've got plenty of it. Push the tabs back in like so. And then we take our mid. You can see there's a key here, a male key on the ring. There's a female key on our mid. Push it down in there like so, and it sits down nice and tight. But just like I mentioned, we need a couple dabs of glue just to hold it steady. And so I do that like so. Through these little tabs, just put a little squirt. Doesn't need much because it's really tight already. And strategically placed like that, it's totally fine. Maybe just take a little bit down like that. More than enough to hold it in. Maybe a little bit down at like 6 and 12. So then again, we just push that down there. And voila. And like I had mentioned, we want to do this all 4 mids at once so that the curing process can begin while we do the rest of the project, i.e. sound deadening, rear deck speakers, etc. So let's just assume we've done all 4 of those. We'll do a quick sound deadening on the rear door kind of tutorial, which is, again, we're tying panels together. We don't have rear door airbags, so the key here, what I like to do is all of this area here, is I come here and I bring this entire panel together and tie it like that. So one big piece of sound deadening. Again, our heat gun or our hair dryer. And that's about it. Bam. Okay. So we tie these guys together like so. Remember, like I kind of showed you in the other video, we just take our tool and we just want to get it nice and see how it just conforms perfectly to everything. Beautiful, so we've tied all that together. We'll hit it one last time with a little extra heat. And that way with one piece, we brought all of it together. And I think we'll take one more piece off. I'll show you this. Those together like that, and then across the top as well. So we'll heat those up. And you'd be surprised how much these little mids move, but they are, there's a lot of energy coming out of these little guys. Beautiful. And lastly, boom, all tied together, nice and dead. So we can use a little bit more. I would call that more than adequate for this particular project, but again, overkill. Everything else we over-engineered, so we might as well be a little crazy with this. And what's another extra minute? This is just me being ridiculous. And then, you know what? We'll go one crazier, like so. Let's slot the mids back into the door. That is done by that, and then the reverse of, and you took it apart. So this can get really tight. So just get it real snug, like that. Like that, and boom. So then that leaves us with our mid-range plugs. So we'll do them on the front and rear doors. These came with your order as well. So they just plug in like so. And we'll do the same thing on the rear door. Well, I forgot from earlier. And that way, when we plug everything back up, it is simple and ready to go. So we're gonna pause right here. We're gonna head back over to the driver's front door, and you would do the same on your passenger front door, where we knock out the tweeter installation. Actually, before we go there, let's do this. I've got the tweeter here on the workbench with the front tweeters for your 25mm silk tweeters in the front doors of the sedans. We've shipped you a package with 2 brackets and then 4 pieces of hardware, 1 bracket per tweeter, 1 screw, 1 lock washer. So you can see how we put it on there. We just thread it right through. It's super simple. We just get it nice and snug and let that lock washer get in place. And so that's how we're gonna do it, like that. So actually we mount it from the bottom and then fold it up like that. So let's kind of pause it here. We're gonna head back over to the front doors and we're gonna tackle the tweeter removal. So you're gonna wanna grab your Torx T30 from your Bavsound toolkit, and that's all we're gonna need for this process. So we'll join you over there. Front doors, E46 sedans and wagons. We're gonna tackle these front tweeters. First and foremost, roll your window down. It's gonna make life markedly easier. You don't really need tools for this process to remove this trim panel. If you've got them, you could. I just don't have any over here and I'm too lazy to go get them. So there's a little plastic tab. Actually, you know what? This one's missing it. There's a little plastic tab here and a little plastic tab here that you can just pry out, and I'll show you. So someone's already taken this one out. You know, I say that, I spoke way too soon, obviously. This is what it looks like. For some reason, this is the stiffest. There we go. So it's just these little guys. There's just 2 of them. There's one down low and one above. Just little clips. They just pop out. And then there's just a little guide up here, like that, a little tab. And then you can see this kind of unhooks. We can come around here. Over time, the plastic just gets heated up and it just gets warped over time. Ordinarily, hell, the last time I worked on one of these, you could take one hand and pull this off. So now, seemingly, you cannot. So I'm using a metal panel removal tool. I'm just getting up in here. This whole thing is like, it's all warped. There we go. Now, so, boy, it is completely melted. This whole thing is like melted in here. Yeah, somebody maybe has already been in here and fixed this car. I think so. Maybe this has been repaired. Anyway, makes our job a little bit more challenging, but anyway. So just peel it down to expose the tweeter, which no problemo, right? So, as I had mentioned, our Torx T30, the tweeter is held in by the top bolt. So, gotta remove that. And then the tweeter lifts up off of the bottom screw. Then we put this right back in. It may have moved, so you may need to actually, again, this is just wildly out of alignment. I can't help but think this has been worked on before. Maybe this car's been hit. Who knows? And you put the top screw back in, tight, and then we undo the bottom screw because that is where we're going to attach the Bavsound tweeter bracket. Like so. So with our tweeter, we want, on the driver's side of the car, we want the terminals facing towards the front, and on the passenger side, same thing. So we always want the tweeter terminals facing towards the front. Otherwise, they could touch metal, and it just ends up being a pain in the butt back here. So I'll show you what I mean. So we get the tweeter attached. We pull it all the way up, because what we have to do, once we have the tweeter installed, is we have to affix it so that it lines up back with the factory tweeter. You can see in here there's a cutout in the foam, and so we take the tweeter, and the reason we put on a little bit of a flexi bracket is for that very reason. So you can see I just kind of angled the tweeter like so, and so that way when we put on this door panel again, assuming it goes back on, that is a wild assumption on my part, it will line right back up perfectly as this one has. And then we hook this guy right back where we found it. Now that went flawless. I wonder why it didn't come off so easy. Who knows? Just do the do, man. Just go with it. Do the do. All right, let me tuck this all back together, make it pretty, tell her she's pretty, put the little tabs back in, however that goes down, and now that leaves us with the need to plug our tweeter in, so we got to do that. So your tweeters came with little vehicle-specific harnesses that then plug in to the tweeter. And ultimately, in the E46 cars, the tweeters connect right behind this black stuff, which makes a royal mess. You're going to be covered in it. Everything you own will be covered in it. So after you do this, do not touch the car. Go wash your hands after you touch this because it makes a colossal mess. And I think it's probably got aids in it, so just, you don't want to mess with it. So, plug in our tweeter, we tuck our capacitor harness back there out of the way, put all that back up, and we go wash our hands, which is what I'm about to do. So we'll pause it here. With the door panel, we'll just simply reinstall the panel, put it back together, and rock on. So let's pause it here. We are plugging everything back in to our E46 sedan or wagon. Perfect. Easy. So, mid's plugged in. Mid bass driver. Simple. On our drivers, we've either got a solid black and a red, or a solid black and a black with a white stripe. Solid black, always negative. Red, always positive, or if you have a black with a white stripe, black with white stripe is positive. So on the driver's front door, we have two wires. We have blue-white and we have blue-brown. Blue-white is positive, blue-brown is negative. On the other front door, I think it's blue-red and blue-brown. Blue-red is positive. Anytime you see a brown stripe on a BMW wire, it's negative. So, or a solid brown wire, it's negative. So brown stripe or gray stripe means negative. So in this case, we'll plug black to blue-brown. We plug red, slot it into blue-white, like so. And it's really snug. We've always just kind of encouraged maybe a little piece of tape. It's just insurance. In the old days, I used to hot glue them. All right, so easy enough. Now we need to plug in our windows, and don't forget our little switch for the window control. That's weird. That's really weird. All right, so get those guys up in there where they belong. Plug in the door handle as before. And despite having just washed my hands, I can already feel the gunk all over them again. You may feel the same way. Just be conscientious of that when you're putting this door on. You just clean it up later, I guess. So then we just take the lock mechanism, line up our clips on the top, and then I like to come from the bottom, lift up. You'll feel the clips settle in. Perfect. Perfect. And at this point, you can watch me do this. Not a lot to it. We're going to reinstall everything we took out. I don't have my Torx T20 here, so I'll go get those, and I guess we'll put it back on. Mine as well. Just a sec. Where the fuck did I put that in any fucking way? Right. So. Back in action. Remember we talked about earlier, there are 5 screws on the door panel. The long, steep thread goes up next to the door handle. The other four locations. So that's the one. All right, perfecto. And then we'll do this guy. Probably should have told you. Fire up the stereo just to make sure all 3 speakers are playing. I did it earlier off camera, but you'll want to do that. You're not going to audition it, you're just going to confirm that they're playing. Another thing to mention, if you just install one door and you hop in and you try to listen and see if it sounds better, well, it's not. Because everything was designed to work together as a system. That's nice. All right, nice and secure. So let's put the plug grain back in first. So we slot the tabs in up by the handle, like so. And then we just push that back in, wipe it down, plug in our windows. Again, you won't be doing this on the passenger side. Plug this back in, tuck it down in there. Plug in your window control, and we are done with that front door. Voila. So again, one front door, 2, 3, 4, and then the rear decks, and that would wrap up the complete 10-speaker upgrade. Again, all this is available on Bavsound.com. You can find us through our Facebook, all the fun internet channels and such. I forgot how all they all work. At this point, I think we're going to head to the rear door, wrap it up, and then we'll touch base in the rear deck and move along. Here we are, rear doors. Just plug everything back up like we did before. Plug up the mids. Funnel the window control up through here. Don't forget that. Very easy to do. Your excitement to get everything back on. Again, get some fresh new schmutz on your hand from the black tape, death tape they've been using since the 70s. Plug in the door handle. There we go. again, tuck the lock mechanism in place, line up the door, like so. And then I just like to, again, use the palm of my hand, like so, and then bam. We just reattach everything with the tools that I left up in the front kick panel. No worries. Actually, went ahead and even left a screw out somewhere up there. I should look into that. I will momentarily. You might find yourself having done the same thing. Again, long screw by the handle, shorter ones everywhere else. And on that note, we were just singing Peter Cetera. I don't know what the song's called. The one from Karate Kid. You know the words. I don't know the word. I don't know this song. What's the name of that song? That Peter Cetera song? It's for our customers. I don't know. Glory of Love. Thank you, Kobe. All right, so then we just slot these guys back in. And again, before you did all this, you confirmed that the speaker was working, right? Perfect. All right, bam. And we do that. And we do that. Plug in our window switch. Then we put the plug grain back in. Voila. Rear doors complete. So now we're going to shift to the rear deck and wrap up this install. Rear deck of the E46 Sedan. Couldn't be easier, actually. So again, plastic panel removal tool. Going to go on this seam here between the grill and the deck. It's going to be tight. And in some cases, for those of you that park outside, these could be very brittle and just break. This one is proving extremely tight. In the 90s, these popped out in a millisecond. I don't know. Let's see. Again, it's good you guys are seeing all that. All right, there we go. You know, there we go. And I can show you, I'll get it out of here and kind of show you what is actually securing it. It might make a little... There we go. There's actually one little tiny clip back here right now holding this whole thing in. And it couldn't be sillier. Okay. So you can see it's just little plastic tabs. That's all we're... So over time they expand, they contract. This is actually critical to put back in when we reinstall it because it keeps the hard plastic isolated from the speaker surface. So don't misplace this. Now, this has got 8mm bolts holding it in. I've seen these Torx T20s. I've seen them a number of things. So again, just whatever you're going to need is in the Bavsound toolkit. I put everything in there that you could possibly have encountered. So oftentimes easier to just break them free with the right angle bit and then just use the 8mm bit that came with the kit to pull them out. Just kind of slot right out, and just like the front door, you just unplug them and out they come. So just like on the front doors we had mentioned, there's yellow and brown on the driver's side. On the passenger side there's blue and brown. Brown is negative, yellow is positive. On the other side, again, brown negative, blue positive. So keep that in mind when you're reinstalling things. With the new Bavsound Mid, again, I'll just show you. Red slots to yellow, like so, black to brown, like so. And again, off with the rubber boots. Drop the woofer down in the housing and reinstall it. So, super easy. I've got to go find the other woofer, so we're just going to pause it here. There's no need to watch me screw this in and snap this back in. So that's how we do the rear deck. So all of that being said, again, when it's all said and done, you want to make sure your bass and treble settings are flat on your factory BMW radio. If you're using our Control 3 as your primary source, on your iPhone or Android device, make sure all equalizers are turned off. We don't want any sort of processing. The system was not designed to handle processing on the preamp side. So in other words, flat across the board. You may find you want a little bit more treble out of the front soundstage, especially if you're older. So maybe treble bumping up a couple notches or so, but bass absolutely remains flat. So again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the Bavsound team. Have fun. Hope you're doing this on the weekend and enjoying yourselves. We will see you again soon.